Hello everyone, today I have a big surprise for you. This is a model of a Fiat 500, the famous classic old car. I think it's an iconic car representing Italy, and I made it entirely by myself, including the textures. And so this allows to me to share this model with you. In fact, you can actually download this model from the level 2, 3, 4 of the Patreon, and you can use it wherever you want in your project, but the most cool part is that I created this model appositely because we are preparing for car destruction simulations. And so not only you can download this and use it in your projects, but very soon I will post finally the tutorial on how to destroy cars properly, with deformations, with breaking parts and stuff. And so I created this model appositely in order to prepare it for destruction. So go get this model, and now I want to show you some details about it. For example, I prepare also the internal parts. There is the engine inside, and then we got also these parts down here because I want to make the wheels to bump like this during the collisions. I'm not gonna do any close-up like this because this is not a convenient thing to do. When you prepare a model for destruction, you want to have the lower amount possible of geometries. And this is another reason why I decided to create this car by myself. Because when you download cars from internet, they come with billions, trillions of geometries and polygons that you don't really need. Anyway, you can see these ugly polygons here. In case that you want to make some renders of the car just for still images, what you simply need to do is to apply a subdivision surface to all the meshes. For example, I select this part of the car, which is the main body. You can see these ugly polygons here, and when I go in the modifiers panel, modifier, subdivision surface, wait a little bit, you can see that is already getting better, but if you want the perfection, you can put this on 2, and you can do the same for the doors. You can see the difference. So this with subdivision, without subdivision. Let's try to apply the subdivision also to the door. Subdivision surface, level of 2. But this is a good thing only if you want a still image in the rendering, for maybe for some pictures, only pictures. This is not good for animation with deformation and distraction, for many reasons. But when we will deform and destroy this car, you will understand why we can't have a subdivision surface on this car. So also on this door here, I can apply a modifier, subdivision surface, level of 2. And yeah, and now everything looks perfectly smooth. Probably also this mesh here. Let's see. You can see all these ugly angles here. Subdivision surface, it's already better. Perfect like this. Yeah, like this it becomes photorealistic and perfect with geometry and invisible polygons apparently. And you can also make some close-up if you want. Probably applying subdivision surface also to this mesh. Let's try. Subdivision, level of 2. But this is gonna be very heavy for your renders if you don't have a nice graphic card. Yeah, probably we also have this mesh here. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about this model anyway. You can see how good it looks, even if it's not that high poly overall. And I want to ensure you the best destruction ever with cars in Blender. You can also get into the internals if you want with the subdivision. I don't know how it looks with subdivision. Let's see. Ooh, this looks actually pretty good. I'm in material preview right now, but I don't suggest you to render this with Eevee because I don't know if it's gonna work properly with all these glasses and stuff. The shaders for the car are a little bit complex with a lot of mixed shaders, which in Eevee can create some problems once you go for the deformation and destruction. Apparently right now is everything fine. In material preview, Blender is using Eevee, but this is created in cycles, and I suggest to you to stick with cycles, also for the maximum realism. Anyway, let's go on with the details. The internals, I don't care much about the internals. It actually looks pretty nice. If you see in the project, when you open the project, you will find this. Remember to delete the subdivision surface, because if you leave the subdivision for the deformation, you are gonna have a lot of troubles. But for now, I'm gonna show you everything just with this. So I'm in material preview right now, you can see. So this is Eevee rendering the car. Apparently it's working, but I don't know, I can't guarantee that this is gonna work if you put Eevee as a render engine. I suggest you to stick with cycles because there are a lot of glasses and mix shaders that usually creates just problems with the renders. So this is what you find the first time that you open the project. There is the model here, there are the shaders, and here I wrote down some notes for you. So let's analyze these notes together. First, in the shader nodes of the material body main, which means select the car, the main body of the car, which is this, and go in the material slot, the material body main, which is this one. If you see, the name of this material is body main color backface trick animatable. Animatable is the most cool thing about this car. There is a node that I prepared for you, which is this one here, scratches and grids. You can read here, multiply, animate this value from 0 to 1 to see the scratches. In fact, during the distraction of the car, when the car is rolling down a mountain or something like that, you can animate this from 0 to 1. And here the magic happens. All the scratches and breaks manually painted on this car by myself, they will appear all of a sudden in the entire car. So this is how the car is gonna look after the entire crash. Full of scratches, when it's gonna be deformed and stuff, it's gonna look really cool. And so this explains the first sentence here. You can animate the multiply node from 0 to 1 to activate the scratches. The important thing is that you don't go over 1, because you can see what happens. It gets crazy. It's not supposed to be like that. I don't know if there is some way to limit this from 0 to 1. I try to clamp, but it doesn't work. So just remember 0 or 1. And if you put the mouse here and press I, you can add some keyframes in order to animate this in the exact moment in which you want to see the scratches. So let's go on. Note number 1. In the shaders nodes of the material glass animatable, so let's find it. Ensure that the main body of the car is selected. There we go. Glass is this one here. You can animate the multiply node from 0 to 1 to crack the windows. And so let's see. I put this node immediately visible for you. Let's see. And here the magic happens again. We entirely broke the glasses. This is fantastic, and you can eventually add some particle system. Probably gonna do that in the tutorial for car crash. But already like this, it looks amazing to me. They are high resolution, there are a lot of details in these glass cracks, and once they get deformed after the car crash, they are gonna look amazing. I'm curious to see how they look from inside. Let's see. Let's try to turn around a little bit. Oh yeah, I like it. One note about the glass cracks. They really depends on the lights that you have in your scene. So if you put an HDRI in your scene, you are probably gonna see the glass cracks better than what we are seeing right now. And actually they look pretty nice from inside. This looks so satisfying. And so again, you can animate this from 0 to 1, but try to don't go over 1. If you expand the windows for the shader, you can see that I made a lot of stuff. Don't care about all these nonsense nodes. The only thing in which I want you to focus is this node here, which is written here, animate from 0 to 1. This is the only node that you have to tweak, alright? And now let's go back to the material of the body main color. I want to show you all the nodes that compose this shader for the body car, which is this part here. I manually painted all these scratches all around the car, but the cool thing is that inside the car, they don't appear. Let's stay in material preview because it's too dark. Even if these are flat surfaces, we don't have the scratches inside. If you expand the shaders, you can see that a lot of stuff is happening here. But again, I repeat, the only node in which you have to focus is this one. Multiply, animate this value from 0 to 1 to see the scratches. So even if all this shader setup can be a little bit intimidating, just don't care about all of this. I just reorganize all the nodes in order to don't get lost in my own nodes. So there is the shader for the color, these are the shaders for the scratches, and this is a node setup that I made in order to prevent the scratches to appear also inside the car. Basically, there is this node here, geometry, which is using the back faces input in order to automatically decide to put this material in the internals of the car, which is without scratches, and this material here in the external part of the car, which is the same color but with the scratches. So I repeat, just don't care about all this nonsense. What I want you to do is to just focus on this node here, alright? So, body main, multiply, animatable, glass, animatable, multiply again. Number 2. In case you append the collection in your project, rather than opening directly the blend file, remember to go in the render properties, which is here, and set the clamping indirect to something like 0.65, which I already did in this project. Clamping is under light paths, clamping. You can see these values, direct light 0, indirect light 0.61. So basically, this is very, very helpful to kill the noise without using the denoiser. Especially when it comes to car, when you use cycles, there is a lot of noise that can happen. And what people try to do is just to use the denoiser, but the denoiser is not that good because it kills the details and it introduces all these artifacts that I don't like. And instead, what you can do is to simply clamp the light. By default, in the clamping, there is a value of 10. And after some test for this particular project, I lowered down this to 0.61. If you leave this number low like this, you will completely kill the noise that with all this glossiness can happen. Now let's see inside if we can find some noise, for example. Usually in these parts where the lights comes through some windows, happens a lot of noise. Let's try to put this indirect light to the default value of 10. Okay, let's wait a little bit and you can see what's going on here. There is a lot of noise actually happening here. If you don't see these dots, it's probably because of the compression of YouTube or the recording, but there are big dots, white and reds, all around here. And when I put the indirect light on 0.61, these dots are immediately gonna disappear. So basically we have a perfect render without any noise just because we have used the indirect light. What indirect light is doing is that is putting a limit in how much bright a pixel can be. Direct light is good on 0. It's just up to you to test it with different lights. It's probably more visible, this difference, if you use some HDRIs with strong lights. We're gonna do it later. Anyway, let's go on with the notes. Feel free to use it in commercial works. Just don't sell the model, please. Alright, this is pretty self-explanatory. I trust all of you and I thank you for supporting me in the Patreon. I'm putting a lot of effort in everything I do and I'm sharing this with you. So please don't distribute this model anywhere. Just use it for your projects. Respectfully, yeah, you know how it goes. Next note. For some high quality renders, simply put subdivision surface on the car and doors. Okay, we just saw this point. We don't need the subdivision for the animation, so just remember this information. Next note, use some HDR eyes to see all the nice reflections. And simply put this giant mesh all around in order to fake a background with a city. You can see if you go here, display as textured. Yeah, it's invisible to the camera, but if you go in solid view or maybe material preview, it's just a quick way to have something to see in the reflection of the car instead of having a boring flat red color. Right, so when it comes the moment to use this project, just delete this mesh and replace it with an HDRI, which just go here, world properties, color, environment texture, open and choose your HDR eyes. And so we have an HDR eye, so we don't need this sun anymore. Let's put off the visibility and also this mesh can be deleted. All right, let's see with the HDR eyes how everything looks. You can see all the reflection in the car. We can put off this. I'm gonna delete this HDR eye. All right, I'm back to the point with the fake background and the sun. Let's stay in render preview. Next note. Don't activate motion blur from the render properties. I explain to you why. If you go in the render properties here, there is this voice, there is the classic motion blur that you can simply activate, right? But I want you to never use this if you are going to destroy this car. The problem with the motion blur, if you have auto smooth in your mesh, and we have auto smooth in all the parts of this car, auto smooth, and we need it because I have put a lot of sharp edges that are the blue one here. Basically, if you have the auto smooth activated, the motion blur is gonna create a disaster in the render. Not now, but in the moment in which the car is gonna deform. So, a simple fix for this in poor words is to go in the compositor and using the motion blur from the compositor. I already set that vector blur in the compositor, and so you have to do nothing. When will be the moment to deform the car, to destroy it, and when you try to render, you will see a proper motion blur without any glitch or bug. Just be aware of this problem so that you don't activate the motion blur from here. And yeah, that's all, and I hope you have fun. I'm sure that you're gonna use this for heavy scenes, and I can't wait to share the tutorial about car crash. So talk to you soon and drive safe.